Hey guys, welcome to Sports Fan Network. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Travis.
Well, with Week 7 in the books officially in the NFL, lots of exciting things to talk about in the NFL. So let's get right into it. Travis, what's your first takeaway for this week?
Yeah, our first takeaway is that Ezekiel Elliott runs all over the 49ers. And a lot of people had the 49ers as a trendy upset pick over the Cowboys, which really made no sense to me, considering they haven't won a football game. They expected them to beat Dallas, but it was a trendy upset pick, and they completely backfired. The Cowboys were able to shut up the haters as they steamrolled the 49ers as they jumped out a 20-3 lead at halftime and never looked back.
Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, he's been, in the papers a lot this season, a lot of off-the-field drama, even on-the-field drama, where his play hasn't been quite up to the level of his rookie year, but he had quite the performance in this game, probably his best game of the season. He had 147 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had one catch for 72 yards that went for a touchdown as well. So overall, 3 touchdowns on the day. Dak Prescott also had 3 touchdowns on the day. So overall, just a dominant performance for the Cowboys offense that has kind of faced their doubts in season, and they just went out there against an inferior 49ers team and just really just made sure it was a blowout from the get-go.
Yeah, and then moving on to our next takeaway, we got the Broncos drop another key game versus the AFC West opponent. After they got upset by the Giants at home on Sunday night last week, the Broncos had an even worse performance the next week, dropping a goose egg versus the Chargers.
Yeah, the Broncos offense looked really bad in this one. Really got to question whether Trevor Siemian is really going to be their guy going forward this season. I know Paxton Lynch really hasn't developed for the Broncos so far this season, but they just did not look like they could get it all going at all. I mean, they had 2 turnovers in this game. The Chargers defense is very good. So you got to give them credit, but they sacked Trevor Siemian 5 times in this one. And, it just doesn't look like the Broncos seem to have it this season. They've had their chances over the past 2 weeks to kind of stack some victories to, catch up to the Kansas City Chiefs in the division, but they just really haven't been able to capitalize on those opportunities.
Yeah, they really let them slip through their fingers, and they really couldn't get the running or passing game going during this game. And it has a long way to go with the offensive line, like you said, who gave up 5 sacks. And this was a team that won the Super Bowl only 2 years ago. And they looked like they were gearing up for another possible playoff run after they completely dismantled the Dallas Cowboys earlier this year. So we've really seen two different versions of the Denver Broncos about midway through the season, and they're in a loaded division. So they're going to have to play really good the next half of the season if they expect to win the division or make a wild card in the AFC.
Yeah, well, staying in the division here, let's go to the Thursday night game here where the Kansas City Chiefs faced off against the Oakland Raiders in, one of the more underrated rivalries in football. When you talk about the Chiefs and the Raiders, these teams historically hate each other's guts. And this game did not disappoint. This has been maybe the best Thursday night game we've had this season.
Yeah, you got that right. These two teams hate each other, and this was a great Thursday night game. I want to talk about Amari Cooper, who has really struggled early on this year, and he had a monster game, finishing with 11 catches for 210 yards and 2 touchdowns. And this was big because he's had a lot of drops early on. The Raiders' offense has not been the offense that everyone expected this year. So to get Amari Cooper going like that against a pretty good Chiefs defense was a very good sign for Oakland.
Yeah, sticking on their offense here, Derek Carr had, a fantastic game, bounce back performance after coming off the back injury. He had 412 yards passing with 3 touchdowns, including the game-winning touchdown to Michael Crabtree. And I got to say, that last drive for the Raiders was just absolute insanity. I believe they had like 4 or 5 chances where they did get the ball into the end zone, but whether it be due to penalties or reviews at the last second, like the refs just made it where it was just hard for the Raiders to get to the end zone, and they just got it done, man. I mean, just hats off to the Raiders. They needed to get this win really bad, and they just pulled off, anything they could to get this W.
Yeah, that was probably one of the wackiest finishes I have ever seen. And they ended up getting the game-winning touchdown to Michael Crabtree. But I want to talk about the Chiefs quarterback, Alex Smith, who just continues to impress week after week after week. And he did not back down from the challenge with the shootout from the Oakland Raiders, as he threw for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns with no turnovers. all throughout his career, he's been known not to turn over the ball, but to not really throw the ball down the field. This is a completely new Alex Smith. He's a lot of fun to watch, and it's pretty ironic because it may be his last year in Kansas City. But if it is, he's ending it on a good note.
Yeah, Alex Smith continues to play at an MVP level. You can't say this loss was really on him. The Kansas City Chiefs put up enough points to win this ball game. Obviously, they had their chances late in the game to kind of steal the win on offense, but you know what? I think if the Chiefs would definitely take Alex Smith continuing to play at this level throughout the season. They just need to get their defense to get back to their dominant ways that they were over the past few seasons. But moving on here, let's talk about the other team in the NFC that might be the best team in football right now, the Philadelphia Eagles, as they kept on rolling with their Monday night win against the Washington Redskins. And, it really starts with their defense here. We can talk about Carson Wentz and how great he's been in his second season, how he's really shown some dramatic improvement. But their defense might be one of the best in the NFL right now, and they really gave it to Kirk Cousins in this one. They sacked him 4 times, forced an interception in this one, and this Eagles team might be the most complete team in football right now.
Yeah, it all starts with the Eagles front seven, which is completely stacked. You got Fletcher Cox, Chris Long, Benny Logan, Nick Barnett. They're just very deep. They got very good linebackers in Jordan Hicks and Malcolm Jenkins as a safety. But, yeah, this defense has really been one of the best in the NFL this year. But talking about Carson Wentz, he had another big night throwing for 4 touchdowns, and he really showed off his mobilities. He led the Eagles in rushing with 63 yards. And I got to say, a lot of people last year kind of wrote off Carson Wentz as he really struggled down the stretch. But with new weapons on offense, he looks like he's a really, really, really good player.
Yeah, Carson Wentz is slowly and quietly putting himself into the MVP conversation. The Eagles can continue to dominate like they have in this NFC, where the NFC East doesn't really look like that strong a division. When you look at the Cowboys, they've been up and down this year. The Redskins, they've shown that they can't compete with the Eagles so far in the 2 meetings that they've had. It seems like the Eagles are pretty much have wrapped up this division midway through the season. And Carson Wentz, if he continues to play like this, he's playing lights out. And you just got to give him props, man. I think he might be the front runner for the MVP at this point, along with a guy like Alex Smith, maybe Tom Brady.
Yeah, and then moving on to our last takeaway from Week 7. And this is the Super Bowl rematch from last year. It was the highly anticipated rematch. And it went absolutely nothing like last time. These two teams played each other. This time around, it was the Patriots who got off to the fast start. And unlike the Falcons, they did not blow their lead.
Yeah, I kind of expect the Patriots not to blow their lead, just to be honest here. This is just the Falcons, man. What do we say about them? They just haven't looked like the same team from last season. It seems like they're that Super Bowl hangover. We keep on talking about that throughout the season. We thought this team would maybe be the best equipped not to have that because they basically returned, the same personnel that they had last season. They have a really good head coach that seems to be able to have the trust of his players, seems to motivate them very well. But, their offense, specifically their offense, just doesn't look the same. I think it might have to do with the fact that Kyle Shanahan left as their offensive coordinator, and it really has affected Matt Ryan specifically. Matt Ryan does not look like the MVP Matt Ryan. He kind of looks like the way he has pretty much his entire career, where he's kind of been a borderline top 10 quarterback in this league. He's very good, obviously, but just not quite the elite quarterback that he played like last season.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan was able to get the best out of Matt Ryan, and you hit it right on. This is looking like Kyle Shanahan leaving is a huge loss for the Falcons offense. He was really able to incorporate both Tavon Coleman and Devontae Freeman in the running and passing game. He was able to spread the ball around, and without him, this offense just doesn't look the same. And just talk about the game that night, the Falcons didn't score any points until 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And who was that guy that scored? Julio Jones, and that was his first touchdown of the year. He's arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. We are 7 weeks in, and he just scored his first touchdown. They really need to get him involved.
Yeah, I just don't understand how do you have the best wide receiver in football, in my opinion. Obviously, Antonio Brown's had a big year so far this season, but in my opinion, Julio Jones is the best wide receiver in football. I just don't understand how you cannot involve him more, but the Atlanta Falcons, they really need to reconsider their game plan in terms of the entire offense because they haven't been able to. They haven't. Well, not to say they haven't been able to run the ball. They have been able to run the ball. They just don't run it enough.
Yeah, they just don't have that same balance. But I want to talk about the football game also tonight, where it was probably the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It was a very foggy night in Foxborough, where the fog was so thick, the broadcasters could not see what was happening on the field. A lot of people were thinking, oh, fog gate, the plate gate, all this crap. It seems like every time a team comes into Foxborough, either their headsets don't work or something sketchy happens. But that's a far-stretched theory. But this is a big win for the Patriots, who have looked really inconsistent throughout the first half of the season. But a win against the Falcons, who even though they're struggled, they're still a really good football team. That can be a momentum changer for the rest of the second half of the season for them.
Yeah, they've had the worst defense in football for the majority of the season, but it really seems like they're starting to figure it out. And remember, they were without their two best corners last night, in Stephon Gilmore and Malcolm Butler. So for them to shut down this Atlanta Falcons offense without their two top corners really bodes well for them going forward. Speaking of defense, before we go here, I want to give a quick shout-out to some defense that I saw really dominate this past week. The Jacksonville Jaguars had 10 sacks in their game against the Indianapolis Colts. That's the second time they've done that this season. The only other team to do that in NFL history, the '84 Chicago Bears, who set a record for 75 sacks in a single season. So Jacksonville Jaguars, they are absolutely dominant right now on the defensive side of the ball. Another shout-out to Eddie Jackson of the Chicago Bears. 2 75-yard touchdown returns. He's the only rookie in NFL history to do that. So that is just insane.
I think the new Jaguars' nickname is Saxonville because they just get to the quarterback. And Eddie Jackson had a fantastic game, pretty much single-handedly beating the other team. But that's our thoughts on the NFL Week 7 recap. Let us know in the comments below if you agree with us, if you disagree with us. If you can leave us a like and subscribe, we'll have plenty more videos coming out soon. So thank you guys so much for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Remember to like us on Facebook and see what we have going on there. Lots of interesting stuff that's not quite always in our videos, but we definitely love to talk about more videos and more stuff in sports going on in the sports world. So thanks, guys, for watching.